guys, what we're doing here is we're just going to carry on from the last lesson, which was analysing your state and your set of emotions. And this is an actual example of, based on what we just discussed in the last video. So here we're going to analyse the emotion, and we're going to analyse anger. Let's have some red. And we're going to analyse anger. So this, obviously, I'm just going to reiterate, all these emotions that you feel, the states that you're in, it's your choice. It's actually your choice, wherever you are. So whichever state you choose, whether it's a negative emotion or whether it's a positive emotion, it's all down to you. You're the one doing it. You're the architect of all of this. So in the end, you can choose which state you want to be in. As I was explaining in the last video, you can actually switch it from one state to another if you choose to. That's your choice. So you remaining in a certain state that's not serving you, just realize that that's you're doing, that's your choice, and you could very easily go to something that is actually serving you and that is better for you. So let's analyze anger and how we get to anger. Let's really break it down in steps, both from a physiological point of view and from an emotional perspective. So what happens when we start to get angry? Our hearts start to beat. Really, really try to imagine this. Do it with me. So your heart starts to pound a bit harder. Your heartbeat goes up. You start to breathe a bit more densely. Yeah, it's really there. You're feeling it. Your eyes are, in some cases, it depends on how angry you are, but your eyes can start to water. There can be some real intensity there. And your body temperature can start to really rise. It's going up. You're feeling yourself getting frustrated and angry. Your chest is tightening up. Your throat might be tightening up. You feel a lot of blood flow around this upper area. You can feel the body preparing. Your hands might be tightening up, or your shoulders may be tightening up. Your chest might be tightening up. You're preparing to do something, fight or flight. We don't know yet. We don't know right now. We don't know the choice you want to make, but you are preparing, whatever that might be. And that's the physical side. And then we've got the emotional side. You're focusing on the pain. You're focusing on the pain, and you're getting annoyed and angry and angrier. It's that pain. It's that pain. That pain that's doing this to me. That pain. Can't stop focusing on it. And there's an element of sadness there. Inside, you feel like, you feel a bit hard done by. Why is this pain happening to me? You're feeling sorry for yourself almost. There's a bit of a sadness. Well, the sadness could be actually related to anything, but there is a bit of sadness there. And there's an element of injustice. You're feeling a bit of an injustice that's taking place there. So it's almost like, poor me, poor me. Well, why is this happening to me? Or that shouldn't be happening, and that's not fair. There's an element of injustice. You're concentrating on the source of the pain. You're concentrating on her or him or that, and you're really focusing right now, and the concentration is going through the roof. You're mentally, not just so physically we discussed, but mentally you're also preparing to make that fight or flight. So your brain is going into a switch. What do I do? What do I do? Which movement do I make? Which way do I go? Everything in preparation. And then there's an element of, I wouldn't say enjoying, but in some cases, what I've found is that there'll be an element of an identity with people that have a long history of becoming angry. There'll be an element where they're comfortable in that state. So there is an element of enjoying being in this angry state. And so, so I've just put that down there, and that's something that needs to be addressed. But with some people, there may be an element where, so it's their identity, and it's kind of like a part of them. It's become a part of them to get angry and be the angry guy. So again, just know that, understand that. If that's you, start to realize that. The whole point of this exercise is to actually shine some light on this and to analyze yourself. Because when we become aware of ourselves and our own actions, that's when we can start to actually have true positive change, true lasting change even. And then there's an element of escapism and satisfaction from the realities of life. So with some people, it's a displacement activity getting angry because they don't want to do the actual job at hand, so they'd rather just get angry with somebody else. Or it's actually a byproduct. It's a symptom of something. So they're frustrated with something else, but then they're getting angry here. So there's an underlying problem. And again, that's something that you could journal about. What is that underlying problem? Just know that there is an underlying issue and that there's something underlying, and understand that, recognize that. So when you are preparing to say unleash and release that anger, okay, well, I'm aware there's something underlying. I think I'll go and address that first as opposed to taking it out here. So again, this is just practice. This is just practice. Keep doing this. Keep becoming self-aware. When you become self-aware, boom, it'll be out the door. We don't want these negative emotions. We want to make the world a better place. And we want to make our world a better place. We start with our world first before the rest of the world starts to have the knock-on effect. So really look for those underlying issues and figure it out. Figure it out and go and address those issues first. And so, with this emotion, once we've figured out, so we've got this anger going on, we've put ourselves into this angry state. Mentally, we're feeling really angry, and we're there right now. We're making it really massive, and we're really trying our best to amplify it in our minds. Then what we want to do is we want to label it, and we can name it. So let's call it, say your name's Johnny, and we'll call it Little Johnny. So we've given it a name, separating it from ourselves, because we are not this emotion. There's many dynamics and many angles to us. There's just so much to you. You're not going to be just angry, are you? You're not Mr. Angry, are you? That's not who you are. That's not all you are. So therefore, we recognize that. Therefore, we separate it from ourselves. So we label it and we separate it from ourselves, give it a name, give it a color. For me, it would be a glowing red. It'd be a glowing red, like a breathing red. And the shape or symbol that I'd probably choose in this case to label it with would be a stress ball, some sort of a glowing red stress ball right there. I can see it right there. And then start to replace it. Let's change colours. So let's start to replace with more positive emotions. So what sort of positive emotions have you experienced that you can start to move yourself into step by step? So for the positive emotions, it would be the same. It would be the same exercise. So you'd have the positive emotion, and then you'd have the physical sides, break down how you'd get there physically, break down how you'd get there emotionally, and start to anchor it. And again, you can label that. So you could label that, and you could call that something else. So you could call that Big Johnny. Let's call that Big Johnny. So now we want to be Big Johnny right now. So when we're feeling like Little Johnny, we want to replace Little Johnny with Big Johnny. And so this is, again, and you can anchor that positive feeling, as I was mentioning in the last video, by anchoring every time when you get that positive feeling, when you've reached that positive feeling, amplify it and attach it to a tap or a feeling or whatever it might be. Anchor it to something, so therefore you can pull back onto it and start to search for that feeling by tapping that. And so let's look for, so now we want Big Johnny, and this could be, think of the feelings. So you could have successful, you could have a positive feeling of feeling excited, feeling purposeful, intrigued, loving, proud, peaceful. These are all positive emotions that you would have felt within the last year or in your lifetime. So look for them, search for them, break them down and really, really anchor them to yourself. And that way you can replace the negative with the positive, because now you have the tool, you're there, you know where the positive is, and you know what the positive's anchored to you, you know when the negative feeling kicks in, you know how to push it out and have it in a ball or to kick it away. And then you can replace it more easily. So that's sort of example. That's an example right there of how to do this. So remember, it's your choice. You want to break it down, write it down, understand it, shine some light on it, amplify it, feel it within you, amplify it, give it a label, then replace it with a more positive emotion. And again, with both positive and the negative are similar in labeling them and colouring them and giving them some sort of a shape or a symbol, and then get rid of one and let's bring the other in. And obviously for bringing in the positive emotions, you can exercise the anchoring. So feel that feeling, anchor it on and bring it into yourself, and let